Fellas, how good to be here. This is the inaugural first ever Stuff podcast.
Yes.
You've played a massive role in our Stuff journey over the last few months, I would say. We launched Stuff in Feb, and I've been on the podcast twice.
You have, you're a two-timer. On Dyl and Friends podcast.
Friends.
No, this is the OG podcast. This is the new one.
This is new. And so I'm just hoping that this podcast doesn't become a list clogger on the podcast channels.
No, it won't be. This will be all time.
This is good. But I think this is a really cool opportunity. You guys have obviously built extraordinary brands that I know a lot of my mates froth listening to you guys. And I thought this is an amazing opportunity just to kind of flip the narrative back onto you two. So just some of our listeners are obviously pretty familiar with you guys. Some of them, this would be the first time hearing you. Just love probably kick it off with you, Dyl.
Yeah.
Like, how would you just give like a brief background on you personally, like where you're up to in your life now?
Jesus. Yeah, wow. Well, thank you so much, firstly, Hunter, for having us on. This is really rare. And I'm not saying that in a way, but like Dan and I obviously do podcasts. Like we love hosting podcasts. We love having fun. But I'm even a little bit nervous today. Like we never really get interviewed separately, but never really together as well. So it's a first for all of us today. But yeah, little story about me. My name's Dylan. I was a footballer, used to play AFL. Well, actually, I used to play VFL, but I was on like the AFL list. And yeah, played 8 years in the AFL. So 6 years at Carlton, 6 years at the Giants.
12. All up. It's good.
Is that it's a good start. 2 years at the Giants. Sorry. Yeah, basically from there started a podcast, and then started another one with Dan, and one thing led to another, and we're here today, and we've done a fair bit, which has been crazy in the last sort of couple of years. But that's probably my journey in a very quick nutshell.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty similar. I think just to start off with, thank you for having us on. Like you said, it's very rare that we're on this side. We don't really do any podcasts together.
No.
I personally don't really do any podcasts, just not for any reason, but sometimes I don't feel comfortable with the narrative and how they control it, but understanding obviously what you do with stuff and the message you want to get across, it was a great opportunity to jump on and try and put that funny mask down, because we are, we try and be funny. We're not funny, but we try. So to sit down and just talk about stuff a bit deeper and see where it goes is great. So thanks for having me. My spiel, AFL, former AFL player, 7 years in total, 5 at the Gold Coast Suns, 2 at Carlton. That finished and then bounced around doing a whole lot of things. Commercial real estate, tradie. I went on Big Brother for some reason. Don't really know why, but went on there.
Nice.
And then, the podcast came along and we started doing that. It was an idea and said, let's just do it and see what happens. And 40 odd episodes now.
45,
we've done 45,
45.
And we are amazed about what's happened, the community we have. So things have just gone up and up and up, and pretty grateful for it all.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Nice. And where did you two first meet? By the way, I feel like I'm the relationship counselor.
Counselling for us.
Where
It's
did we
great.
first meet? It's actually quite a funny story. We met probably when I reckon I would have been 15, Dan was 16. He's a year older than me, and we actually met, it's quite funny to actually hear this, and we don't like to give each other compliments too much, but I don't know if this is sad, but obviously we got List Cloggers podcast, and our careers didn't go the way we wanted, and we make light of that. But back in juniors, we were we were very fucking good. We peaked way too early. We were playing in the Australian team together, playing pretty well.
And just to clarify, you were 15 and he was 16.
Yeah.
So does that make you better because you were younger?
Well,
I'd
not
say
really.
that.
Just different ages, different journeys.
I'd say that.
We all end up at the same destination.
Same spot we
I would say that, yes.
No.
But does it? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So, we played together in the AIS. We, did a lot of camps together. Dan's from South Australia. I'm from Victoria. So we'd catch up every now and then. And I don't know if you know many South Australians, but they are really strange people.
Definitely.
And they're beautiful people.
Some of our listeners come from South
And we
Australia.
love them.
And we
love
say
you.
it. We love
I
them.
am one of you guys.
We love them
unique
equally.
Yes.
And have, in their own
They
way.
have beautiful souls.
And we say that every week. We love them. We do love them. Although,
And
they are unique individuals.
Yes.
And Dan would fit into that, being a unique individual.
That's
and
fair.
these South Australian kids they'd keep to themselves
They're
for probably
rare
the first
youths.
4 or 5 camps. And I haven't really changed much. I'd speak too much. And one day we're on a bus in South Africa, actually. And the story goes along the lines, Dan was probably the only person who hadn't really spoken. And I know we're not about toxic masculinity, but it's fair to say, in all seriousness,
But we also grew up in that
we
culture.
have grown up. I probably
so we
was.
can talk about
Yeah,
that.
I probably was a bit of an idiot, but also trying to.
You're just very loud,
I was
man.
probably trying to involve him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there a little bit of toxic masculinity? Yes, there
Yes.
probably
Well,
was.
you were
which
just directing traffic.
directing
Yeah.
traffic.
It's like,
yeah,
speak up, say something. I was like, no, I'm really comfortable.
Yeah.
Just not saying anything for 4 months.
Respect my boundaries.
Yeah, please
No,
respect me.
I'm not going to do that. And anyway, I made him get up in front of the whole bus in the AIS and do a rap.
And when you say you made him get up, what happened?
Well, I think they just said, "Does anyone have any special talents?" And I was like, I was like,
That tall, quiet guy.
This bloke hasn't spoken. This bloke has not spoken. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a good rapper. And anyway, he had to get up the front, do a bit of beatboxing and rapping. And I would say that from that moment, it really helped him, get out of his comfort. People, actually started going. So, that's the first memories.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nailed it.
How was that for you as like the silent kid, also coming into like a AIS team, which is is like pretty heavily probably Victorian based, as like the outsider coming in.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you?
Wild. Like I'm from country SA, so like that's quiet. Like 10 people max in the town. Like where I'm from, then you go on this camp and all of a sudden, like you think you're a decent football player, and then like you train with Bucks and like Dylan Shields and all these other players who are just stars. Like they're playing Vic, so it's good competition. All got personalities, like all just amazing humans, loud, vibrant. Then I'm from this little quiet guy, like from Adelaide, and then getting pulled up to the front of the bus saying, just beatbox and rap.
Yeah, go on.
It's like, okay, that's just not going to happen. But to his credit, like it actually was the first time where I probably gained a little bit of confidence. And I think from that moment forward, I've never played like a better. You got to play games on this trip.
Yeah.
So you play against South African national team, you play against Sydney on this tour that we went on.
Yeah.
And since that trip maybe came out of my shell, and it helped with on my on-field stuff with footy.
Nice.
So it was crazy and scary, but really good.
It's an interesting thing, like around the peer pressure thing, how sometimes it's like, I don't want to do it, I'll do it. And it's like, sometimes we get kicked through these like portals and it just has this growth on the other side. But other times they could be entirely destructive. Like that could have been a massively traumatizing experience for you. You know, like you think about at school, like we talked about this before, like I grew up in a very masculine culture as well. Like we didn't call it toxic masculinity. We didn't know that was the language around. Yeah. It was just banter. And it was like, work out who you needed to be and just like kind of police everyone else so that they stay in their part of the group.
Yeah.
But then to your credit, man, like look at the growth you've had in your life now.
Crazy.
Like it's actually quite extraordinary to think about the moment where you got flicked up the front of the bus and then now like, you've built an identity and a career out of it.
Yeah. And I guess you kind of, and years later, flicked me again without really knowing he was putting me in the deep end. I started doing some videos on Instagram and I'd always send them through Snapchat to Dyl. And one day he was like, man, just start putting them up there. Like, see what happens. And without actually knowing he did that, probably started, the growth of my own, it sounds weird to say, personal brand.
Yeah.
Just because, being thrown in the deep end.
And it's also like, my experience of being like an Australian bloke is it's scary to put yourself out there with something creative and also being the funny guy. Like, you got like, because guys are so quick to just slip little one-liner that just like cuts you down, and then it's like, oh, is it worth it? So then you just put it out there and then what happened for you?
Well, it was well received. It started taking off straight away and then producing more and more and more. And I think some of the stuff I was posting was just relating with males. Yeah. And then it just grew and grew into this big thing. And then the Big Brother was a bit of fuel on the fire and that took off again to a bigger audience. But back to your point, like there are so many messages that I get daily still, like, and back when I first started, that was just blokes just cutting you down. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you posting this? You're a flog. Yeah. And it's like super tough to be like, well, what am I doing this for? I'm not getting anything out of this at the moment. Like I'm getting a few followers that, are coming on board, but I'm not getting paid for any of this. Like I'm just getting really abused and likes. Yeah. So it was really tough, but you push through that. And then you and I still today would get the odd message here or there telling us what they think of us. But it's still part of it now. I'm pretty numb to it.
And it's like the keyboard warriors, right? And it's just, like, and really what that is just their projection of their own insecurity. Like you're triggering something in them that they're not comfortable to share. And so you're doing it so they're like, I'm going to come after you. That's really most of the time what it is. What's it been like watching, because you've kind of had this bump early on in your life together where your paths have crossed, then you've kind of played a little bit together as well, but then you've now recreated a new like relationship as mates, and now kind of in a way as like kind of your brands are colliding as well. What's that journey been like, Dyl?
Oh, well, it's got goosebumps then. I don't know. I've never really thought about it like that. Like, you know, the way that I like to see things is like Dan and I are just really good friends. And like we are really just, we've been mates for a long time. Like Dan's got his best mates, I've got my best mates, but we have something together that's quite special. So it's not like we don't live in each other's pockets. We don't need to talk every day. We're just like, just mates. We're part of each other's life.
Yeah.
But I think that, to tell our story a little bit more, like we were mates in AAS. Dan went to Gold Coast. I went to Carlton, you know, do your own thing for a bit. Really randomly one day, I was speaking to a recruiter, like, Dan's coming to Carlton. Bang, straight away, I just messaged him. I said, mate, get your self to Carlton. Bang, like, we're on again. Then I went to Sydney, and it was hard to keep in contact again. And it's always been like that for us, but we've always just stayed in that linear friendship. So I think that's my favourite thing about being mates with Dan is we don't have to check in every day. We don't have to be friends, but we just know that when we're together, it is like it always has been.
You can just drop in.
Yeah, definitely. I feel the same. Like our paths have crossed over and drifted apart, but we've always, I don't know, I guess you and I have really never spoken about it. This bond where he does have his best mates, I have mine, but we have a friendship where I know if there's anything serious on my mind, if I need someone to call straight away, or just, you know, mentally something's happening, it's Dyl. If I've got a funny joke that I need to tell someone straight away, it's Dyl. It's just a great friendship. Like, it's just, we're always in each other's lives, but we're not there daily at each other. Yeah.
And it's nice because I think a lot of our work with staff and kind of comes from the origin of the man cave is developing like guys who have range in their identity. So days where you can be like funny and playful and a bit ridiculous, and other days when you can be like deep and raw and honest. And I think, and some relationships are just like that, and it's extraordinary. Like I've got mates who are just like, my brothers for life, but then I've also got mates who are, for some reason, they're just my D&M guys. I just drop in. I'm like, I don't know why, but something in our personalities just click. We drop in, we just go. Yeah.
I think a little bit with us as well, without probably even knowing that, we're probably doing the same thing and can relate to the same stuff we're going through. So doing his podcast, the pressures with that, content-wise, the pressures with doing that. Got people accountable that are waiting for stuff on you. Knowing what we're going through kind of helps with that friendship and understanding each other a little bit.
Yeah, you've got the lived experience of each other's worlds. And like that's the thing that, your best mates, unless they're on a similar path, there's no way they can know an idea of it, but they'll never know what you guys, I'm sure we'll talk about this, but like, when you go out at night, like just the pressure to be the guy, or like, and because people develop such an intimate relationship with you because, they're plugging you in and listening to you guys, drive home, in the shower, like on a flight, whatever it is, like you're a part of their lives.
Yeah,
which is kind
it's really cool. Crazy. It's really crazy. But it's as cool and incredible it is, it can also be really scary. Yeah. And it's something that we'll never take for granted, but like, it's so funny. Like these things have been happening to me lately and I love this, but it makes me feel like I'm going fucking crazy. Like Can we swear on this show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shit.
Sweet.
Okay.
I'll go get shit.
We were.
So good.
We were walking. I was walking down the street the other day, and this guy came up to me and goes, "Dyl, how you going?" And I was like, "Fuck, where do I know this bloke from?" Like, I definitely know him. I've definitely met him before.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, "Yeah, I remember this guy." And the whole time in this conversation, I'm like, "Oh my god, I just can't remember your name. I'm so sorry." And I got to the end, it's like, "Mate, I'm so sorry. I've just gone so blank. Like, what was your name again? Where did we meet?" He goes, "We don't know each other." And I was like, "What the hell?" Like, people just come up to you and it's the best thing because they feel like that for me is nearly the biggest compliment because it feels like they know me and it feels like they know Dan. Like they're like, "Mate, love the show, and you're just like, "Oh my god, like we're creating these people and these relationships that we don't even know we have, but they're there, and it's honestly one of the most rewarding parts of the show to feel like someone is like we're mates without even knowing we're mates.
Yeah. And I think a show like Cloggers as well, like over COVID, and even we're still in whatever COVID is now, like the joy, right? The laughter, the silliness, the banter, like it is a gift back to people going through pretty tough times, so it almost doubles down as like a vice for them to just go this is actually, I get so many lols out of this, you know, and I think that's something to reflect back to you guys.
Yeah, I think it's definitely advice for us.
That's what I was
During
saying.
COVID.
It's-
nice.
It's the best
Yeah.
thing coming here and recording for a couple of hours and like just only thinking about stuff we're talking about, like trying to be funny, make each other laugh. Like it's been great mentally.
Yeah.
I know for me to come in here and just for 2 hours a week, I'm coming and being funny, trying to be funny, make jokes with my mate.
Yeah.
It's been
Yeah,
great.
I genuinely think that we would do it even if we weren't
Yeah.
people listening, because like sometimes we forget that
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
I do forget that people listen sometimes.
Yeah.
And until we release it, and I was like, oh Sam, can you actually edit that out? Probably shouldn't have said that. Probably shouldn't have said that.
I think I just farted.
yeah, probably shouldn't have said that. Can you take that out, please?
So I want to reverse back a bit so who left footy first?
Well,
Well-
leaving. I choose to leave.
Who chose
So
to
do you
leave?
choose to leave, or
Well,
I chose to leave, but I saw the writing on the wall, so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
left. How 2 years?
You went
Four?
No,
I left
1 year before me.
1 year before you.
Yeah. No.
No, 2.
No. We left the same year.
We left
We left
Carlton
the
the
same
same
year.
year, and I retired. I left. You kept going for a bit.
I went to Sydney for 2 years. So
Yeah.
we left Carlton the same time.
Yeah.
Dan retired.
Yeah.
I got delisted.
Yeah.
Then I went to Sydney after that
shame
for 2
about that.
years. Yeah.
Okay. And so in your retirement, what was the transition like? So I got mates, some who play professional sport. I was actually chatting to one of the commercial directors at one of the footy clubs not too far from here. And he was saying that like one of the biggest challenges with like ex-players is a lot of them leave on tough terms. And he's like, how do we build this sense of like legacy and pride and mostly wanting to get the guys back into the club?
Yeah,
It's so hard.
super hard.
So, and then there's the identity shift of this is who I was and so much support structure around me. And then now, see you later, mate. You know, thanks for coming.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Super tough. It's like when you're playing footy, you're like, oh, I'm God's gift here. I'm so
Yeah.
good. I'm not playing a game, but geez, I'm like talk of the town. How good's
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
And then when you leave a footy club and you get thrown to the scrap heap, it's like, oh, I've got nothing here. Like I don't even know who I am. Like
Yeah.
I've got no schedule. Like everything is just gone. What am I going to do next? So personally for me, like it was probably the toughest period of my life. Not knowing what was next, didn't really plan for that next phase of my life. I just thought it'd be okay. I'll find something.
Yeah.
I'll play local footy somewhere. Someone will give me a job somewhere. I'm not passionate about anything, but I'll land on my feet. Did not happen at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
I went into commercial real estate, hated it,
Yeah.
but it was a job.
Yeah.
So I'll do that. I'll play local footy. Like I just lost all my identity. Didn't know who I was. I was trying to find who I was.
Yeah.
Because growing up playing footy, there's Daniel, the footy player, 16, 17, 18, drafted. Now he's Daniel, the AFL player. Daniel, 25, who is he?
Yeah.
I don't even know that.
And also no chance for you to really find out who you are, like, because you've always been around in the structure where, you
Yeah.
know, where things are, you know, given to you, taken care of, you instructed what to do. And then suddenly now, but also like people outside, it's such a small group of people who have that same experience as you. Like most of the world doesn't, you know, and so even like a sense of like, I imagine loneliness, trying to connect with others and reintegrate back into life.
Yeah, well, I felt like I didn't have any friends unless they were footy players. Like I generally had no friends. My family's from Adelaide. That was never an option of going back to Adelaide because that was just too comfortable. I could easily go back to home to mum and dad and set myself back up again, but I don't want to be in Adelaide as much as I love them. So I felt like I had to find my friends again and find myself at the same time. And it took like 2-3 years to do that.
Yeah.
I can only last 12 months I've kind of found myself.
Yeah.
And it's been a lot of downs. There's been some ups. It's been great recently, but downs after that, like dark places that people don't see because we do list cloggers and we try and make people laugh.
and
we
you're
have
the
this
funny
mask.
guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're funny guys, but no one sees like it's only been good recently. Like things were tough,
Real
tough.
Yeah. And then there's also the pride, I imagine, that would come with it, you know, because you want to make it out of there. You're used to being a high performer, like I'll get through it. But then it's like, we all need help, you know, at certain times. So were there people that supported you to go through that kind of 2-3 year period?
Yeah, like you said, being a male, I was like, I don't need help. I'm fine. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And 6 months go by. Okay, I'm still in the same spot. Just don't think about it. Go have a big weekend. Forget about it.
Yeah.
And then you get to Monday, like, okay, well, all those problems are still here.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing. So I didn't really reach out to anyone, and I wish I did.
Yeah.
I 100% wish I did. I just recently started speaking to a psych. Like things are obviously better.
Yeah.
It's been the best thing I've done is speak to someone. But at the time, like I just did not think to do that. I just wanted to get myself out of this hole.
Yeah.
And it was super tough. And it was only until I wanted to make the decision to find myself, and that was putting myself around better people.
Nice.
So getting myself closer to people like Dyl, you know, who's goal orientated. He's got drive, not being against the other mates who just live for the weekend. And want to piss their life away. But that super tough. But last 24 months, I've found myself and my drive and my passion, and it's been great. But speaking to someone's been the best thing.
Oh, mate, the way I've heard it, seeing a psychologist, is it's like the windscreen wipers for your mind, you know, and it's just like, it's kind of crazy that we don't have more in place to support our emotional worlds. Like, you know, we've got this whole industry around like personal training, you know, yoga, F45. It's like, but then where, like the inner world is where it all comes from. So yeah, I think that's really powerful, because I reckon, you know, there'd be a lot of people listening, a lot of people who know you who would, you know, not have seen that side of you. So thank you for sharing that. And then the other side of it is like, some people probably going through their own shit right now, and just to hear that from you, from someone who's lived it, is really powerful. Thanks.
Massive.
Yeah, no, and it does get better. Like, it definitely does. At the time, you don't think it's going to.
Yeah.
And then the best thing I ever did was tell my dad. And I was so scared of telling Dad, because I was like, I don't want to be like less of a son, less of a male, but I'm going to tell you that I'm really, really struggling. Like, I'm not in a good spot. Like, I'm crying every day. Like, I don't want to get out of bed. Best thing I ever did was tell him, and he said, like, Daniel, I'm going through the same thing.
Oh my God.
And it was like, whoa, like, wow. If it can happen to my dad, who was like, in my mind, the strongest, you know, most macho man ever, happens to everyone. And that was awesome.
And how about just like a moment for your dad, who, you know, he's the hero, right? But then actually in that moment, you gave him the permission to share his vulnerability with you.
Yeah.
Like,
amazing.
that's an extraordinary gift to receive, you know, as a father figure from your son.
Yeah, amazing.
And that's those moments of like pure authenticity or vulnerability are just like, you wouldn't change any, like, no money in the world for that moment, right?
Yeah, amazing. Best moment we've had as a father-son.
Oh, dude.
Amazing. Yeah.
Amazing, man. Dyl, transitioning out of sport for you.
Can I say something before that? Because I remember, it's to do with Dan and I's story, but I just remember, I should have reached out a bit more.
Yeah.
So we don't know. We don't know unless you know.
And that's, you know, and I can clearly see how much you care for him now, man. If you were to reach out, what would you have said to him?
No, well, I was actually pissed off, because I was like, I didn't know. And I was like, I remember when I moved to Sydney, and I was like, I'm trying to like set something up with this bloke, but he never wants to like, I thought that he didn't want to do something. I thought it was me, and I was like, well, what's wrong? But realistically, like, a lot of the time, you think personally that you don't know that someone else is going through something.
Going through it, yeah.
Yeah, so that was a hard thing. So I didn't know.
Yeah, and you guys have never talked about this before?
No, never.
No.
But yeah, again, you don't know unless, like, I probably was acting like an absolute fuckhead. Like, probably thought I was pushing him away, but because we don't speak about it, and just the way it was brought up, don't speak about your feelings, because you don't know how people are going to react. You don't want to be seen differently, so... That's, and it takes now for us to sit down and talk about it, to be like, mate, I wasn't pushing you away. Like, I want you in my life. And we've never
probably
done
would have
that.
been a lot famous, a lot quicker.
Yeah, well, I just think it also, like, this is a beautiful moment, you know, and I just don't want that to be lost. Like, I think you guys are extraordinary role models, you know, just to demonstrate the power of, like, beautiful mateship, you know, and I think that is, to your point, too, I don't want to lose that. Like, sometimes, you know, people going through so much shit, they're not running back to our messages, like, they're flaky, you know, and it's like, fuck, they're going through
their own thing.
Thing, right? And I think that's,
that,
we've just got our own inner world. And there's, like, you know, just what I want to give to you, you're not a bad person at all for thinking that, right? It's just, we only have the information that we have at that time, you know, and so... I can feel it right now. Like, there is, you know, and again, as blokes, we probably don't tell our mates we love them enough, but you can feel it right now. And I think that's quite extraordinary. How would you describe this moment for you right now?
I cry a lot these days. Fucking hell. Pretty special, man. Like, it's probably been something that, you know, we know how much we love each other. Like, that's not a thing, but yeah, I think that there was a really tough time, man. I think I feel a lot indebted, because I know that I should have been better than I was. And it wasn't better as like I was trying really hard, but I just didn't probably respect or know the depth of what he was going through. Whereas, Dan would be the first person to say he's not the easiest bloke to open up.
Yeah.
I've never heard him. Like, we've had a few big conversations like this. It's not the first time we've had probably a cry together, but it was just really, really hard because I was selfishly going, mate, let's do some stuff. Let's do this. And I knew that there was something else going on, or he was doing other decisions. Like he said, he was probably in a stage where he's like, I don't want to face this. I'm just going to go and go out with the boys and have fun.
Yeah.
But it was sort of, it was tough, and I just wish I knew what I knew now, because I would have been I wouldn't have been, because he would know. There's been times where I was like, fucking, what the fuck, mate? Let's do this.
Going on? And probably grilling him.
Grilling, and knowing that that's actually the worst thing I could have done at that stage. The best thing I could have done was just say, mate, how are you?
But again, think about our upbringing as young Australian men. We're not taught to know how to reach out to your mate.
No.
Like when you're going through shit or I'm going through shit, it's like, first of all, I don't know how to go through shit because we're not taught about it. We're taught to go do it quietly, or you get, bullied or paid out if you show any vulnerability. Yeah. And then also when our mate is struggling, we kind of panic. We're like, fuck, I don't know how to hold this. I haven't got the training ground, time in the ring to be able to go, man, are you okay? Do you mind if I ask you any more questions? Like, do you need anything right now? We're just not shown that, and I think coming back to what we're doing with Man Cave, which is kind of, important part of stuff, is just having moments like this with teenage boys, from the ages of like 12 years onward with thousands of boys. So instead of waiting till it gets to crisis point, it's like, fuck, let's get preventative about this. Yeah. So it actually, there's a friendship there that I know that I can reach out to you no matter what. Yeah. It's like, how much difference would that make if, all blokes, all people had that available?
Yeah. So. And it's just so like bizarre. This feels unreal to like talk about this and have a cry together and all that. But
no, I'm not crying.
Like at the end of the day, and it is hard, but it shouldn't be hard to tell someone how you're feeling or how much you love them.
Yeah, like, it's crazy.
I wish when I was going through my stuff, like, and it's how I felt and how I do feel now. Like Dyl inspires me every day to do shit, to be better, to like keep striving. Like the bloke doesn't stop. Yeah, like he'll call me mid going from one thing to another. I'm like, mate, I'll like bag him for being so busy, but then I put the phone down, I'm like, this bloke's amazing. Yeah, man. Like just keeps going and going and going. Yeah. So it's good. It's good to talk.
Yeah, it is.
Totally, man. Yeah. And
you should tell me that more.
It's on camera. Right? We're good.
Just ringtone
now. Yeah. Oh, we're just like, it's a real privilege to be here with you guys.
I'm privileged.
No, really. And I think it's extraordinary how much is just below the surface, and a lot of guys would have this with their, close mates or best mates or just mates they're friends with. Like, and I think you guys just role modeling this it's just real, and that's what it is. Dyl, I'm going to shift into your transition out of sport. You've kind of talked a little bit about this in the Dyl and Friends potty.
Yep.
How have you navigated like the multiple identity shifts? Because you've kind of got to go out on a limb to set something like this up. Like you're putting yourself out consistently, pretty rawly and pretty vulnerably as well. And we were talking with Zach Seidler recently, how, a couple episodes with, I think it was the episode with Zach where you're like, even saying mental health was a big deal, and now, you're just, I think, a phenomenal role model for just finding the edge. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how's your transition out of sport been?
Transition out of sport, look, there's so many bits to that, but I think the biggest thing for me was when I was in footy and when I was leaving, like, I'd signed 4 one-year deals and I knew that time was imminent. And I just think that in a way, and I know this sounds really strange and I hope this even makes sense, but ego sometimes gets a really bad connotation to it. And I think that for me, I knew that my footy career wasn't going to work the way I wanted to, but my ego or maybe my drive, whatever it was, I was like, there's no way this is going to define me. Like, I was like, there's no way like people are going to be like, oh, that's that guy that, played footy and did this. So when I finished, I was just like, it was almost like I took it personally and I was like, I need to be not successful in a way of like people knowing who I am or anything, but be successful in terms of like love my job, be happy with my life and do what I want to do. And that's the way I measured success. I was like, it's not about money. It's about coming to a workplace every day with good people, doing fun shit. Yeah. And I was like, I don't want to change that. Like, I don't want to go and just do something for the sake of doing it. So yeah, did that happen easily? No, definitely not. Like I went and worked at 3AW for 6 months, fucking hated it. Like, no, I was like really, really hated it. But I think like Dan said as well, sometimes you need to do that to work out what you want. And you're not going to always have a really easy ride. And even now, you know, like I wake up sometimes and I'm like, fuck, like, am I dreaming? Like, but it scares me, and I'm like, you got to get up and fucking do, because I don't want to lose it. So I just have to keep going. Probably a little bit unhealthy, to be honest. Like there needs to be a bit more of a balance with it, but I'm loving what I'm doing. I love working with Dan, love working with Sam, love working with you. I think that's a long answer to a short question, but take it, send wherever you like.
Whenever I just find I'm just talking, I go, I don't know what the question is, but that's the answer.
That's what I say too.
Nice. And then, I think I want to come back to like masculinity and our models of manhood as well, because I think, you know, you talked about your dad before, Dan, and like the role, you know, him being your hero for you. And, you know, Dyl, I know you've talked about your dad as well. And, you know, I had a conversation with my dad this week that I got a bit emotional talking to him as well. And there's this interesting thing about being like kind of the young buck and the old bull. You know, we kind of put these old fellas on this pedestal. And like, in my experience, it's like I just really want to make my dad proud. That's what it is. And, you know, I've done some real dumb shit over the years, which is not, you know, result in him being proud, I'm sure. But, you know, I think that's kind of my experience. That's the hope of like many sons, is trying to, you know, make your dad proud. What's been your journey with manhood? Like, you know, who have you looked up to? Like, has that shifted over the years of what it means to be a good man to you? What's your journey been?
I think growing up, definitely dad.
Yeah.
Like you see dad and how, and it's back to that stereotypical, you know, macho man. Like my dad doesn't show any emotion. He's a real man's man. Loves his beer. Loves his mates. Loves laughs. Loves a good time. Like he's never sad, down. There's no bad patches. So growing up and seeing that, and you know, reflecting like I've got to be like that now. I can't be sad. I can't have other feelings. Like I've got to just be what everyone wants me to be. And then growing up and moving away from home, not having dad in my life day to day anymore, and not knowing, you know, well, I'm now a teenager. What do I do? What's a man actually do? And then just through a lot of errors, fucking up a lot. And then being like, okay, a man doesn't do that. Showing emotions. So relationships, burnt through relationships, just shouldn't have, and mistakes in those. And just learning what it's like to be a man and own your shit. Own your mental health as well. It's been a huge one of late. I know I open up to Anna more and more. I've got this big thing, and I speak to Anna and other people about it, about bottling up. I do this thing where I just bottle and bottle and bottle, and I say I'm okay and nothing's wrong, and then all of a sudden this bottle just goes bang. It's a massive explosion. And it's the worst thing. I'm working on this right now. So talking about things, being more open with, especially my fiance Anna, seeing a psych's been great, and just not doing that anymore, because it's not being a man to bottle things up. I get nothing out of it except, you know, when this bottle burns and breaks everywhere, everyone around me suffers.
It's an explosion. We use this analogy in the Man Cave programs with teenage boys around the glass bottle. We literally say it's like you get these rocks in this bottle every day. You know, a bit of stress, a bit of banter goes too far. You're overwhelmed. You didn't get back to that person. You're just putting these rocks in this bottle, and eventually it does explode. And it can, you know, some people it's, you know, violence. Some people it's anxiety. Some people it's like depression. But again, no one tells us that we can just learn to take the lid off the bottle and put a bit out, and then put the lid back on. And it's a muscle, you know, and it's just similar to, you know, learning to ride a bike, learning to, you know, go to the gym. It's like it's time in the ring that gives us that level of mastery in it. And I think, you know, seeing a psych is just that consistent time where you can just get your unfiltered attitudes, your unfiltered beliefs. You don't have to worry about being politically correct at all. It's just like boom, and you're like, that was a bit twisted, but there you go. You know, I remember the first time I saw a psych, I think I was 24, and I remember I walked out afterwards, and it's like the world had changed. I was like I'd like been at a festival or something, and I'd come out and I was like blaring, and like, you know, I was like, wow, I didn't know what to do. I felt incredibly shaken up. I had like a vulnerability hangover. I was like, oh my God, what is happening? But it aired something out in me, you know, it kind of created this like space. And so it's like, you know what, I think even as we've shown today, the beautiful nature of just, we don't have to go to the psych, if you can create friendships where often all it takes is just to go first, and it, as we saw again, it just sets our mates off, because we often have such love just sitting underneath the surface.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think back to the manhood, like what I think a man was being like and growing up, now that I'd had that chat with my dad, so obvious that I mirrored everything he did growing up, because he bottles and he explodes. Yeah. So I did exactly what you did, because I saw you growing up. Yeah. And subconsciously, you putting on this brave front, I started doing that. Yeah. And we both exploded.
Yeah, totally. And it's like, this is a thing for parents. Often parents say one thing and they don't understand why the kids won't do what they say. It's because kids do what they see. It's the role modeling. It's the micro moments where they witness, dad, how he behaves in a certain environment. And I think sometimes it often actually takes a tragedy for us to, it's like a major life event, it could be a life crisis, a death or something, where it all comes out and we're like, fuck, why do we wait for this? And I think there's something beautiful around how do we, we talked about this on the podcast the other day, play offense, not defense, with our relationships and our well-being. And I think, we've all got so much emotion in us all the time, and that's okay. And I guess I think about who's in the public eye, who are the guys that I look up to. I'm like, he's a fucking man. I would love to be like him. I'm like, there are very few guys who have that range. Yeah. And I've heard masculinity, or like one's manhood described in direct correlation to how much responsibility they're taking in the different areas of their life. So their relationship with themselves, their finances, their career, their past, their future, how much responsibility and accountability they're taking. And I'm like, that's a pretty good measure, because there's definitely some areas of my life I'm still a little boy.
Yeah,
Sure. Yeah. And I'd love to just kind of tap into your models of manhood and masculinity. Where did you get your versions of what it meant to be a man?
Yeah, I think very similar to Dan. Dad growing up, very, very similar. But I think I actually sort of learnt quite young. You got role models in life, but just, you can have good role models and you can have bad role models. And like, one person isn't that. There's things that you can take out of certain things. And yeah, I don't know, I've been really lucky. I grew up with an incredible mother, just an incredible mother that just loved me so much. And there's things that I saw from uncles, my dad, cousins and friends, that I've always just grown up being like, oh, I really like that was cool, or I don't like that, like I don't gamble, I do plenty of bad things, don't get me wrong, but like things that I've grown up with being like, I could have got really into that, but for some reason I was just like, that's not for me. Yeah. So I think in a way, like, I'm really lucky that I had some really strong D role models, what's it called, like anti-role models. I was like, I don't want to do that. I've seen that and I just don't like it. But yeah, I think that one thing like I've always really lived my life by, and I think this happened at a pivotal point for me where, Dan was probably saying he was finding himself. When I left Carlton, I was really finding myself. I was very insular. Nothing was my fault. It was everyone else's problem. I'm the bad luck story here. Like, why is everyone, why is all this bad shit happening to me? Yeah. Until I realised that, like, no one has it out for you. Like, the only person that control anything is yourself. And it's not what happens, it's how you react to it. Yeah. I'm not joking. Like, since that day, life has just gotten so much easier. Because everything that happens to me, I control that. And even if it's bad, I control how I react to it. And it's just something for me now. Don't get me wrong, I still get fucking shitty and I get sad, but I snap out of it quicker because I go, you know what? What's next? What's next? And it's like a repetitive, like it's a muscle, it's a twitch, and I'm just like, no, what's next? I've got to go to this. I've got to go to this, because I know that if I dwell on things, that's when I get really down, or I can form into bad habits. But it's a big one.
Yeah, and I think it's reflect back on, like, how do you let yourself feel the feeling, because all feelings are okay. We're allowed to feel everything. Sometimes we attach different levels of like meaning and significance on other feelings, and we're kind of sold this narrative that we have to be happy all the time.
Yeah, no, I'm not happy.
No. It's like it's like got to be happy all the fucking time.
I wasn't happy when Dan pressed our website live a couple of weeks ago and sold 700 pieces of merch that fucked the whole website. We had to come in here for a week and pack them all. I wasn't very happy then, and I'm not very happy thinking about it now.
That was right.
Yeah, it's good business development.
It's a good business.
Good bonding day. Scarcity around the product.
Really
the team really
we sat in here and just packed,
good team bonding
packed
session.
And didn't speak for 6 hours. It was awesome.
Closer for it.
Yeah, well, I'll let you guys sort that out offline. And, if you do want to get some merch,
It's definitely live. We'll go live soon.
Actually, we'll do it. And then I want to talk about mateships.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think we're at such an interesting point, you know, particularly in the world we're in. We've been through like a major global crisis, right? And no one's experienced anything like this before. You know, again, just to kind of bring some context, they say that like, you know, the quality of our relationships, so the depth of our relationships is one of the most important things for the longevity of our life. So not necessarily like how many you have, but the quality we have.
Yep.
How have your respective journeys with mateship like evolved as you guys have evolved, and you know, particularly having levels of profiles now as well, like you know, it's a nuanced thing.
For me, I've always, you know this, I've always been super tight circle. Like I won't let you in if I don't get a good feeling, or if I don't really trust you. I've heard something like it takes a long time to, you know, knock down my wall and be a part of, you know, be my mate. So I've always been like that. I think with the pandemic, firstly, that's probably pushed some people out because I'm not, you know, seeing them weekly. I don't value that friendship as much as I thought I once did. It was probably not as deep and wasn't as a connection as I thought it was. And then probably getting a little bit more of a public profile, still the same thing. Like I'm super, super tight with who I hang out with. I don't go out to like bar clubs. I don't go clubbing anymore. I go to pubs with mates, but then that's about it. It gets real basic just because, don't know, just as I grew up, just real small circle, hang out with the same people, don't venture too far outside that.
What's it like having almost like, you know, it's kind of the side effect of getting a profile and a brand as well, right? Like it makes you think of like those guys who are like, you know, the big, you know, Kevin Hart's, The Rocks, like, you know, like they would just have no privacy in their life. How's that journey been for you? Not saying, oh, you're like Kevin Hart and The Rock, but you know what I mean? Like your privacy does get impacted, and your ability to go and have a beer with your mates is like, you know, and it's fucking awesome. You get guys coming up to you or whoever coming up to you. It's great. How has it been trying to just like, because you're in the experience, like you're trying to navigate it real time. How's that been for you?
Like it's firstly, it's a humbling and like a grateful. So that's definitely part of it. Like you're so grateful that people want to talk to you or get a photo. Like that's the craziest thing. People want to get a photo with you. Like, why would you want like, a photo? That's so weird.
I've done heaps of dumb shit.
Yeah, I've done literally nothing. Like, so there's that part where you're like, that's awesome. Like I've just made that person's day with a 30-second chat, or they've taken a photo which took 5 seconds. So that's great. But in terms of going out to bars and pubs and trying to have a beer with your mates, like it's just, and again, we're nobody like at all, but that kind of is gone because it's a weird thing to describe. It's so many people are interested in what you're doing and why is he there, or let's get a photo with him, let's try and, I think, sometimes catch him out doing something like that. So I've definitely pulled back on doing that stuff. And if I do, I'm there for like 2 beers and I'm out. So it's definitely become tougher. But I guess anyone who's got a profile would go through the same stuff. Like life just does change. Like, and right now, the only problem we have is people bugging us, which isn't bad at all. It's just like I don't enjoy it sometimes. Like
because you're a human being and just want to have.
I just want to have my beer here and like not have a phone in my face. And I know it's exciting for you guys, but you know, I just want to be with mates. So that's a little part of it, but nothing massive.
I just don't really hear that talked about much by people who are kind of in the public eye, because I'm like, man, it's just, you know, it's like anything, there's trade-offs, and you know, there's gratitude that's there, and also you're a human being, you know, trying to live your life. So I just appreciate your honesty with that.
I think, especially with list cloggers, like, and it's great, we have this like community where we just take the piss out of each other and like, you know, we say stupid shit, but like you go on the street and some people like actually serious with you. They're like, you are actually fucking ugly ass.
I know.
Okay, whoa.
I seriously find that so much. Like, I'll go on Instagram and like we'll bag each other out about being like a pissant, and someone's like, yeah, you are the fucking biggest loser, pissant, fucking dickhead, fuck you, and you're like, oh my god, like,
okay, that's
whoa,
not the joke.
like, am I, or are you serious right now? I'm not sure. This actually hurts my.
Should we keep going with the
show? No, there's actually been times where I'm like, Dan, you can't say that because people are gonna like really get
buy
into
into
it. Like at the moment, apparently I smoke meth. Like, and that's just from something that's just happened. And it's like, you know, it's like, you smoke meth, haha. You're like, yeah, well, there's some ice there. It's like, yeah, cool. Then it's like, you fucking meth head junkie.
Yeah,
fuck. And you're like, oh
whoa,
my God.
whoa.
Whoa, please.
Crazy.
Settle.
And just to clarify, on the record,
I smoke meth.
yeah,
Love it. Yeah.
yeah. And if we need a sponsor, now's the time.
Mateship. Yeah, I love mates. I really find that
You
fun
do.
for me.
Yeah.
I really do love all my friends. Really are like, just like you said earlier, they all play such different roles, and I'm nearly sort of quite opposite to Dan, and like in a way, because if I have a problem, I'm fucking putting it on you.
Yeah.
Like, and I need different people to take different shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes I'm so upset, I'm going to be upset by myself. Then I'm like, nah, better tell someone. Better tell someone I'm upset. And then it's like, yeah, man, we know you're upset. But no, I just find it like really, I just love talking to people. And I find that when I talk to people, sometimes I feel like it actually helps them know that they're not the only people with problems as well. But yeah, I'd be nowhere without my mates. Like, I really wouldn't. I have an incredible friendship group. And it's as big as it is. There's like, funny, like Mick Mulhouse told me this one day. He pulled me into his office. He goes, how many friends do you have, mate? I was like, well, about 5,000 on Facebook. Like, you know, fair bit, pretty popular. And he's like, oh, you only have 5 people. You only have 5 friends. Yeah. And I was like, nah, Facebook, you know, begs to differ with you. And later on, you know, I've really worked that out at you know, it's not 5, it's not 4, but it's, you know, a handful of people. You only need a handful of people. You only need a handful of people in your life. And I'm not saying that you don't have, you can have 100 friends, but you only need like a select few, and you need to work out who they are. Yeah. You know, for me, my partner Justine is just, I was actually, sometimes I sit in the car and just like go, I would actually genuinely be, I don't know what I'd do without her. Like, I don't know what the fuck I would do if I didn't have her. Like, in a scary way. Like, I don't know. I don't want to think about it, because I wouldn't be where I am now. She just, crazy. I'm going to cry again. But she just like is so, she just tells me what I need to hear, and she's so ruthless. But I love it. Like, but it's not in a rude way. It's just like, Dylan, shut up. And it's just like, yeah, I need to shut up. Like, this is what I need to do. So yeah, I think like in terms of friendship, like she's my best friend. But yeah, I got heap of really, 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 really good friends that I'm really lucky for. Yeah.
I think there's something I find that in my relationship as well. Like, there's something about the feminine that can just pierce the masculine bullshit. And you're like,
nothing
I
else.
didn't even know it could get hit that way.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Where
a
did
new
that come
door.
from? Yeah, wow.
Well, that hurt.
I needed that.
Yeah.
Do you hate me, or are you trying to? Are you trying to help me? I'm not sure.
Lean in for the kiss. Did I read that wrong? Well, I think that's probably the next topic I want to explore is relationships. You know, and I think, you know, the kind of our respective journeys of kind of trial and error, and like, you know, not being our best selves in respective relationships. Hopefully, learning a bit along the way. I just love to hear, and I might start with you, Dyl. Like, first of all, where'd you meet your partner?
I met Justine when I was in year 11, and she was in year 12, so we've been together for 11 years. We're engaged. It's really exciting, but yeah, like our relationship's been crazy. Like, we, you know, met so young, and I think when you meet each other so young, you don't even know who both of you are yet. So we've sort of grown up together, and even I think, you know, she would agree. Like, we probably didn't first like 5 years like really even know who each other were. You know, you just like you love each other, but you don't know each other like fully. And I think, you know, it took us like to move in with each other, and then when we moved to Sydney, I think that got like really real for us, because we were like together. We had no one else to rely on. We lived together, like, you know, for 2 years in Sydney by ourselves, and just eternally grateful for her. Yeah, I can't say much more. Fuck, man. What you've done to me today.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I just
Paul
think,
in the room.
yeah, it's just, you know, talking about things that matter, man.
Yeah.
That's it. And, you know, we can have the fucking banter and fun times, and then just sometimes it's just, you know, the emotion wants to come out.
I'm really nervous because we've got our wedding in like January, and like I don't know how the fuck I'm going to say anything. Like, I literally just like pop up on the screen or something. It's like, there's
just zooming in.
By the way, like, let me just say this. I hate doing these podcasts because some people might think, oh, that's really cute. Like, Joz must love that. Joz fucking hates me. Like, if you met her, like, Sam would know this. Like, she works here every day, and she's like, Dylan, fuck off. Like, seriously, get away from me. So she would literally hate this right now. Like,
Yeah.
She would be hating this.
Oh well, mate. I think, I just think it's again, if we come back to like, what's the fathers we want to be, and like I think often our fathers did the best with the tools that they had, right? And I think we're allowed to stand on the shoulders of those guys and be the best fathers. And I think role modeling, vulnerability and open love and expression is just it's just not a common thing. So I think it is a real beautiful thing that you're offering back, and man, and just feel your love for her.
Yeah, it was funny because she's like quite shy, like she's very shy, and I have to say, tell me you love me every morning. I'm like, I'll wake up in the morning and be like, yeah, I'm like, give me a kiss. She's like, don't touch me. And then I'm like, I always say, tell me one thing you're looking forward to today, and tell me one thing you love about me. And she just never replies. Like,
just keep trying every day.
Just 11 years, I haven't yet got an answer yet, so I'm still waiting.
One day she'll reply and be like, what's wrong with you?
No, but it's actually funny because when she's like, odd occasion, she'll be like, I love you. And I'm like,
what?
Shut up.
Weird.
Yeah, I'm like, it's weird. I'm like, you shut up. That's my thing.
What do you want?
I'm like, don't do that.
Nice, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
And for you, my friend.
Yeah. Anna, fiance, met 3 years ago through mutual friends, on and off for ages, like a year, on for 6 months, then off for 6, as I said, and then engaged last year. No, started this year, sorry.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. Started this year, so, but she's been like...
You're in trouble.
Yeah, I know. She's been literally the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like, it is crazy. I don't know, again, like Dyl said, I don't know where I'd be without her. Like, none of the shit that I'm doing would be possible without her.
Yeah.
Like,
I see that as well. Like, sorry to cut you off there, but I was just saying, like, I see that with Anna and Dan because, like, Dan is so insular sometimes. She doesn't... I don't think she lets him be like that. If there's something there, she'll get it out of you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and she knows. Like, she knows now. As soon as I come home, they know.
They know.
Yeah, they know something's up.
Yeah.
But she's been great in terms of getting all my shit off the ground. Like, just telling me to believe myself, getting me organised. Like, I've never been so organised in my life. Driven. She's driven. Makes me want to do more. So... she's lived my whole life. Like, I'd be absolutely fucked without her. Like, so fucked. Like, I just do not know where I'd be or what I'd do.
Yeah.
Like, I know everyone says it's about their partner, but generally the best thing that's ever happened in my life.
Yeah.
Like, you can take away everything else, and if it was just her, it'd be unreal.
So good.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the amazing women out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
massive.
Shout out. Mine's the best.
I've talked about my partner who is extraordinary. But yeah, I just think the ability to find someone who can hold your bullshit, call you out, lift you up into the best version of yourself is it's such a gift to have.
And we like to think that we add some value to the relationship.
I think so.
It's debatable.
But like, the other day I'm like, I know I'm difficult enough. Like,
Oh yeah,
I
feel
just
sorry for us.
don't know like how you do it. Like, I would be the most annoying, moody, like up and down person.
Yeah.
The fact that you actually want to get married to me is
Yeah.
like messed up. Like, why this is forever.
I
Like,
won.
Yeah, like, we're doing this for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh,
Crazy.
well, we might get them on the podcast.
Yeah.
That'll go different. Yeah,
Well,
so how much they hate us.
We'll get cancelled.
I've yet to propose to my partner. Would love to just hear your what was the feeling like to propose?
So nerve wracking. I reckon it was one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah, it was so hard. We telling stories?
Well, if you want, yeah.
Cool. Well, I remember I went and got a ring, and I took my mum to get the ring with me, and we're getting the ring, and I was coming back because I was in Melbourne. I was going back to Sydney, and I remember then our mate Nicky Graham was found out he was getting engaged on that same weekend, and I was like, oh fuck, I can't. I'm not going to do it the same weekend. It's just a bit weird. So that was a mid-season buy, and I was still playing Giants at this stage, finishing up at the end of the year. And I was like, all right, I'm going to wait then. So I waited the whole second season, had the ring just like hiding at home the whole time. So it ended up getting the end of that year. We went to Port Douglas, and I had it with me, and I was like, oh, nah, I just don't feel it. I was like, we've never been here before, probably never come back. It's not really my, I have no connection to this place. And then we got home, and one thing we did every morning in Sydney, and we were moving home. And one thing we did every morning was we got up early, walked our dog Frank, like the same route from our house to a coffee shop, down across this bookstore, down the road, cross the road, go to our dog park every morning, watch the sunrise. It was just a staple, and we just talk and everything. So I was like, we were moving home, and I was like, I loved that. That was the favourite part of my day.
Nice.
So I sort of just did that. Like I got up early, gave her a book, and then she walked around and, you know, in different spots told her like a bit of our story and how much like I loved her. Got a coffee, and then I was waiting at the park with Frank when she got there. And I still remember, like, even though you'd hope they're going to say yes, I was just like, this is an opportunity. This might not go the way I'm planning today. Like, you really don't know. You just don't know. But that was, I reckon it was probably one of the coolest things I've ever done. Like, it was like 6 a.m. in this dog park, and we're just like, you know, like crying everywhere, and people walking their dogs. Like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck?
The dog dying.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? Yeah, it was a cool experience, and something that I'm so happy that, you know, I've been able to do. I'm looking forward to, you know, if you get to do that.
Yeah.
When. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
The same. Like my Anna's from Shoreham, a suburb in the peninsula, and she has her family home there. We go there every week. She absolutely loves it. Like
beautiful,
it's like a heaven. Like a heaven. So
place.
means the world to her. Means the world to her family. So she finished work one Friday. I got her mum. They work together. Got her mum to drive her down to Shoreham. I was there waiting on the property. She has to walk through her house, and I had all this trail of notes going through the house and out in the back patio, and got down on a knee, and a word didn't come out. I just cried the whole time. Like, literally just cried and said, "Please, please." And then she started crying, and it's one of the best things you'll do, though. Like, it just, I don't know, it just puts so much into like perspective. Like, literally now and until I have a kid or what it might be, my whole life is just like for you. Like, just everything's for you, really. And it's good. It's growing up, I guess, back to the start of this conversation, finding who you are. Like, everything is for her. Like, and then when I have a kid, eventually, everything's for them. Like, life just changes, and when you figure out who you are and what you want, and surround yourself with good people, make peace with yourself, look after yourself, you know, physically, mentally. Fuck, life's so good. Yeah, life's unbelievable. And in that moment, like, that was the best moment of my life.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, unreal. So
mine was better on that.
I'm like getting data, so I can get the best one.
Yeah, that's a good backup. Yeah. Dog park. Dog park. You love dogs. Yeah, you love dogs. Yeah, you've got a dog. Get one.
I would like dog.
Get one.
Yeah.
That's the whole can of worms. Kind of final thing, just to kind of wrap this up. I'm just like, we do a lot of work with young men at Man Cave, and I would just love to kind of give you guys a moment to reflect back. Like, if there's any advice that you guys would like to give to your younger self. So again, it doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be polished. It's just like knowing your journey as a teenage boy, what you had to go through, but with a bit of hindsight that you know now. Any advice you would give to a younger version of yourself?
2 things. I'd just say, be yourself and make mistakes. Best 2 things I've ever done. Just like, the moment I was just like, fuck this, I don't care what anyone thinks. Do my own thing and make mistakes. I love making mistakes, but the one thing is I've got to learn from them. So just like, make a mistake, learn from it, and they're the 2 biggest things that I reckon I've learned for sure. Just like, make as many mistakes as you can and just be yourself and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Nice.
The thing with mine, like, the biggest thing I would say, like, it's going to be fucking hard. Like, it's going to be so hard, and you're going to think that it's not going to get better, and you're going to feel like there's no one there for you, but, like, it does get better. Like, you just got to give it time and look after yourself. Like, just speak. Yeah. It's not hard. Just tell someone. Someone, mate, dad. Just tell someone. There's always someone that's been there or was going through it. Like, just speak, and you know, a man isn't not saying anything and trying to be the blokiest bloke in the world. It's actually owning his shit and being brave enough to speak up and say, look, I'm actually fucked at the moment. And it does get better. Just stick with it. So, but you know, it's the hindsight's so funny. Like, in the moment, you're like, it doesn't get any better. Like, I'm just in the worst spot in the world right now. But it's crazy how it does. And when I was going through my stuff, I was like, people kept saying, it gets better. And you're like, no, it fucking doesn't.
Yeah, and fuck off.
Yeah, and stop telling me it gets better. It doesn't get better.
Yeah.
But sure enough, it does.
And that's it. I think, they say that adversity shapes our character, and it's like in those dark moments, we actually find out who we are. We find out who our friends are, and they shape, our entire existence, our resilience, our character, and, what our goals are in life too. So final thing I want to say, I know you guys spent a lot of time together, but you've also seen another side of each other today. Is there anything that you guys want to say to each other just to wrap this up?
Oh,
Wow.
oh.
Wow.
There come the tears
No,
again.
not without crying. I think I can.
Yeah, definitely. Like I love you so much. Like you are so inspiring. Like the shit that I'm doing now is all because of you. And like I've never ever told you that, but you hold all this shit together, man. And I'm so grateful for you in my life because you've made everything better, even if it's just this shit we're doing with Liz Cloggers or talking or just being there. Like, you've done so much for me that I've never ever told you, and I'm so lucky to know you, and I love you.
I'm just going to give him a hug.
Yeah.
What he said, basically. I love you, brother. That's
I love you.
Yeah. We're going to take over, man. Like, I think for us, like, yeah, it's only the beginning. We're doing some cool things to sit here with two of my best mates and create some incredible content and make people happy, change each other's lives.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of other people out there that were doing the same. So, yeah, I just love you, mate. Love you all. Love you, Hunter. Love you, Sammy. Love everyone.
Love
Fucking
you all.
hell.
Yeah, love everyone now.
Yeah.
This is great.
I just want to say a massive acknowledgement to you both.
Yeah.
Like you have these profiles, and sometimes people abuse the profile, right? And it becomes about them, and it becomes about their ego. And I think it's just absolute privilege just to sit here in front of you guys. Really, it's a massive honor. And the world needs more men like you. And I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. What we're about to go through in the world is pretty full on, and it is really full on, and we need more men leading from their heart. So I just want to say a massive thank you to you, and I just got a lot of respect for you both, and so thanks for just being so generous with us today.
Of course.
Thanks for giving us a platform, man. We might not have ever even had this conversation if we weren't here today. So, unless it was after maybe 15 beers, but you don't remember it.
No, that's it.
Yeah, true.
I think it's it's really nice, and it's nice that hopefully when people listen, they can resonate with their friends and might kick some stuff for them because we're just humans, man. We make mistakes.
Yeah,
We're funny for like an hour a week.
Yeah.
And then after that, we go back into living life. We're normal people. We get sad. We get depressed. We get fucking same shit. Like we all have stress.
Yeah.
So I think that's, to be honest, why the show is successful. Because we aren't trying to tell people that we're not. So
no, we're just trying to keep this shit together as well. We're trying
we
our
have
best.
no idea what we're
No
doing.
idea what we're doing, but
We don't know what
we
we're
don't
doing.
know. We're trying our best. So thank you though. Like as Dyl said, and we wouldn't never had this chat. Like coming here and talking just openly with you and with each other. The best thing. Like, I feel amazing right now.
Yeah.
As much as we're crying.
Yeah.
And, got red eyes.
You're crying.
Amazing. Feels so good. So it's been great.
I think, and exactly, it's the, we're talking about the glass jar, right? This is an opportunity for the lid to be poured out of the glass jar. So, and I think just, for anyone listening, we'll put in, some tips around what you can do for your own mental health. If you've got things going on, if you want to learn how to have these chats with your mates as well, it's like it's always there as an option. So, thank you.
Or just jump on a podcast. Just do a podcast and cry about it. Whatever.
Just
You could go and see a medical professional, or you can go on a podcast and cry. Either or. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
Amazing.
Oh, dude.